Did I ruin it?
No, look.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think it looks beautiful.
It looks beautiful. Oh, this is way better than our apartment, though.
Dude, this is way better than what we were going to do.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. All right, get comfy.
I'm getting comfy. This is
Okay.
going to be a long one. Hopefully not. We only have an hour in this room. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Well, good morning, warriors. This is the Worship Warrior Podcast, the most transparent Christian podcast you are ever going to find. We talk about our real life experiences in relations to all sorts of religious topics. And we are doing the same thing today because we are going to be talking about
cancel culture.
That's right. We'll be discussing how it affects Christians, how we should respond to it, and how we may be adding to the problem. But first, Anna, what's up?
What's up?
And what's up to you? We haven't seen you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we have some news.
We have so much news to go over. It's kind of crazy. It's as I get situated here in our new studio, which is not really our studio.
It is a studio, technically.
It's technically a studio, but it's not ours.
Mm-mm.
We are actually in a library.
A public library.
A public library, which if you know me, this is the worst possible place for me to do this.
Okay.
I'm freaking out. I'm
booked-
so nervous.
we
I can't
booked
believe this is
room.
happening.
We booked this room thinking it was going to be like closed off. We noticed like in the pictures online there was like one window, so we
Which is what you see back there,
which is what
covered
you
by the
see back
whiteboard.
there.
So we were okay with that.
So we were like, okay, and then we walk in and we're not going to show you because there's people walking around about. And there's a floor to ceiling 3-part mega window
It's
that's
just-
like 1/4 of the actual room.
It is a window.
It is a whole opening.
It is open.
And we're on the 5th floor.
People are
So
looking.
it's like, I mean, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it really is. Like if you're really in here to study, because it's a study room, beautiful view.
And Michael came in and he got so nervous. His eyes went huge. And, but we're making it work.
I nearly, dude, like I told you, I was legitimately about to leave. I was about to call it off. I was going to say, we can't do it here.
But
There's no way.
It's a beautiful space.
Yeah.
We love it. We're super excited.
Super excited. I'm a little nervous. I'm going to talk a little quieter too because it is a library. But also we tested it out to make sure like if we screamed, well, not screamed, but
we're loud.
Talked kind of loud. Mm-hmm. You can't hear it, so we should be good.
It's pretty good, yeah.
We should be good. But if I seem a little more awkward than usual, that's why.
We're in a very public setting.
We're in a very public setting, and this is crazy. This is nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. To get more into, were we gonna say something?
I was going to say the same thing that you're about to say.
Which is like, why did we have to move around? Why are we in a library? Well, it's because we do have some major news. Anna, would you like to share?
We moved.
I can't believe it. We actually
We're
did.
in a new apartment.
Yes, in a new apartment, 1-bedroom apartment, back in the city.
Mm-hmm.
But there is not a good place to record.
There's not the lighting in there.
It's not good.
By itself is not good, and then finding a spot, we really can't.
We don't
find
have
any.
This should be real. We don't have a table.
Yeah, we don't have a table. We don't have a. Well, we just moved.
We just moved. We don't have a table.
We don't have a table.
We have one chair
Mm-hmm.
that we share.
Yeah.
And it was just, we had to figure something out if we wanted. And this is why also we haven't been posting,
Mm-hmm.
is because we've been figuring it out. And this is the solution we are trying right now. Let us know what you think. This nice whiteboard is nice because we were able to write, Worship Warrior Podcast on it.
Also, here's my advice of the day.
Okay.
If you have a local public library, go ahead and go.
It's a great resource.
It's
honestly.
it's an amazing resource. If you have kids, take them to the library. Go to the library.
And I'll say this too, like especially if you're in a big city like this, like I'm sure this is not just for us, like not just specific to Austin, but like we're in here doing a podcast. We saw other people doing it. Anna, you just said you saw somebody making music.
Yeah, I just saw somebody making music.
There's your answer. Like if you don't think you have the space for it, like this is a free room.
Mm-hmm.
It's free. It's a free resource.
You don't need a library card.
You don't even need a library card, although it's free to get one as well if you live in the area.
Yeah.
And you might as well because there's great benefits to it. And we're not told to tell this either by the library, but it's just
I know we're sponsored.
we're not, but it really has been very helpful for us.
Yeah,
like
totally.
if you're trying to get started on your dreams or whatever, and you feel like you don't have enough space, like try look for this.
Yeah,
This
and
is
also
great.
read a book.
Yeah, sure, if you want. I mean, I don't really think you should.
Read
a
book.
You have YouTube. You don't need to do that.
Read a book.
Just watch this podcast.
Literally read a book.
I disagree, but we'll agree to disagree because we have a lot to talk about. So we'll go ahead and get into it today.
Get into it.
So, okay. So I try to keep things relatively light on this show. It is hard because we are talking about some hard things. So I don't know how this is going to go. Okay. It could go light. It could go super heavy. We could disagree. I don't really know your full stance on this.
Yeah.
I think we started talking about something a little bit yesterday and we were like starting to disagree.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's save it. But anyway, cancel culture. What does that mean to you? What are we talking about? We gotta first define it.
Yeah.
Define it before we keep going. So what do you think?
Well, I think canceling somebody, I would say, is when they do something that's disagreeable to the eyes of many, and then those people kind of like shut them down.
Yeah, to the eyes of many is important too. I think. Yeah. To
the public.
Right, and then so they just get shut down.
They get shut down. Yeah.
I mean, I would agree. I mean, I wrote something here, but you pretty much just said that. I'll go ahead and read it because I went through the trouble of writing it.
Yeah.
And I said,
could have just asked me.
I could have, but I didn't think you were going to say it so eloquently. That was nice.
Thank you. Yeah.
Cancel culture is the practice or engaging in mass canceling of a person as a way of expressing disapproval towards an individual.
Nailed it.
Which is like exactly what you said.
Yeah.
So you nailed it. But let's get a little deeper into that and let's talk about what does that look like today specifically. That's what I want to start with. Is because like that's whether you think it's new or not, it's not really like that. The form of like mass disapproval over somebody. I mean, what they had hangings back then. They had Jesus died on the cross. What do you think was that? You know?
Yeah.
Now today, what does that look like? We're not necessarily shooting people down on the streets, but what does that look like now?
What does cancel culture look like?
Yeah.
Well, I think a big part of cancel culture today is you lose a lot of following. And in society, following is money, or like following is some sort of social power. Right. So you kind of lose that standing online. Yeah. Right. I think online canceling is different than like real life canceling.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because I feel like online is not real life.
Right, which it's really not. Like what we're doing right now, I mean, it's like we're being ourselves. Like I've heard people say this. It's like when you're on a podcast, it's like you're yourself, but not fully yourself. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like you're either turning it up, you're turning it down. Yeah. You're like, and this is just like us, and we try to be as vulnerable as possible. Yeah. But there's only so much. Like you don't know everything about us. No. You couldn't. We're not going to show you our entire just behind the scenes. Yeah. You know, nobody should. That's where it gets a little dangerous. But to your point, yeah, it's like, yeah, you're losing points socially. Socially, yeah. Is what it is.
I think getting canceled in like the real world, I would say, is harder.
You think so?
I do.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about that then. So we know like internet cancellation. That's pretty crazy, but that's not going to happen to us yet. I mean, we're not that big.
Maybe we will get canceled.
Maybe one day we will.
Oh my gosh, they're going to play this.
They're going to play this clip. I know. I was thinking that. I was like, if I ever get canceled, they're going to totally play this video.
They totally
and be like, look at the irony. But we're gonna run that risk. We're not that big yet, so it's probably not going to happen to us right now. But right now. What has happened is like, I'm sure in your life, real life cancellation. So what does that look like? It might look like. Your friend group turns on you. Like if you're in high school, right? Yeah. And let's say, I don't know. Let's say Sarah picks her nose. We don't like Sarah picking her nose. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Somebody sees it, word spreads around that Sarah's a nose picker.
That is so true. That is a cancel.
And then all of a sudden, nobody talks to Sarah. She's disgusting.
So true.
Right?
So true.
That's what it looks like. It happens all the time. It's not new. It happened to us when we were younger. Did that ever happen to you, by the way?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Really? Specifically the nose picking? Or?
No, not the nose picking. Oh, okay. I peed myself.
Oh, shoot. Talk about that.
What? It was like not even elementary. What is it called before? I guess it is elementary.
Preschool
first grade. It was like first. It was like
first grade is elementary. Yes.
It was like first grade, and I peed myself.
And then what? So what? Why did you pee yourself? It was just...
I had a big peeing problem.
Right.
I just didn't like raising my hand to ask for the bathroom.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I thought I could hold it.
So
I was kind of a shy kid.
You were
get
nervous.
it?
Yeah, I do get it. I do get that.
I was shy. I was nervous. I hated raising my hand, and I just peed myself.
And then after that day, you were just known as a girl that pees herself?
And then I was just kind of known as the girl that pees herself and smells like pee for for like 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
To like 4th grade.
So that was a long cancellation.
Yeah, it was. I mean, people still talk to me. It was
but in the back of their mind,
it's
they were
kind of like a rep.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Right. So it goes back to, at the core of this, your reputation.
Yeah, exactly.
And your reputation can differ from online to
in person.
That's a good example. We're going to go more into that, but before we do, I do want to talk about going back a little bit to internet cancellation.
Yeah.
So that's something that we can't really go through yet. Like I said, this again could come back to bite us this entire episode. But there has been some crazy online cancellations that have been nuts.
Oh
that
my
have
gosh.
that. And here's where it does affect that person online: is if their business is online, there goes your business.
There goes your business.
Right. And so, like, just to name a few,
yeah.
I think the latest one. Well, not true.
Not
the latest
true.
one that I knew about was Colleen Ballinger.
That was the latest one, yeah.
And if you don't know what happened with her,
look it up. It's
look
tea.
it up. It's we can't go through we could talk about it, but
that would
take
be like
forever.
2 hours, yeah.
She got accused of maybe
taking advantage of children for their work.
Yeah.
Stealing children's work.
Doing what Santa Claus does, but to children. Because he takes advantage of the little elves.
Oh.
What did you think? What did you think I meant?
I felt like that was a bit of a stretch of a comparison.
I thought, it made sense to me. Like,
I don't think
we just watched the Santa Claus movies, which are great movies.
We just watched the Santa Claus movies.
Okay, but I guess they haven't.
They
Okay, fair.
Have not
fair.
just watched the Santa Claus movies.
I thought it was a good example.
Okay.
Anyway, if you've seen those movies, you know what I'm talking about. So that's what she did.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I heard about this other person that you kind of wanted to talk about.
Because I love her.
Now, I don't know who this is
kind
to
of.
an extent, but you're a big fan.
I'm a huge fan.
So tell me what happened.
So Brittany Broski.
Because we like to gossip a little bit on this shit.
We like to gossip a little bit. She's this really fun creator. She's so funny. Her content is so funny. Yeah. But behind the funny, there's this very she talks about ethical decisions and moral stuff behind this really funny layer. So I really enjoy her. But because she does have this ethical layer, this moral layer to her, people were kind of expecting her to speak up for the Palestinians during the Palestinian, and I mean it's still going on, about the Palestinian and Israel kind of war that's going on there, and people were just waiting for her to speak up, and she hadn't, and she hadn't, and she hadn't, and eventually she posted on her My Friends account, so not even the public account, which in itself is that sucks that somebody would leak that. And she was just kind of ranting a little bit. Me personally, I didn't think it was anything tea.
Okay.
But she was just kind of ranting. She felt that because she's more of the lines, she said, who am I to speak on this when I'm not when I'm not certified? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? When I'm just a social, a social public influencer. That's not her
brand.
It's not my brand. Kind of is the thing.
Oh, so that's the problem. Is it kind of is?
That's the problem. Is that it's kind of is. She speaks about speaking out.
Sure.
So people were just confused.
Okay, got it.
She recently released an apology on her podcast where she says that she's sorry and that she was just waiting for the right moment and she needed to be more informed. And I understand that. I feel like we should be putting less pressure on people that are just so influencers and more pressure on actual political figures who actually can change the course of the war, because who is she? I understand voices need to be brought in to make that kind of change.
Absolutely.
But she said it herself. She's just a white woman. Those are not the kind of voices we need to be uplifting for Palestine. You know what I mean? For Palestine. Right. So I kind of agreed with her side. I think this is it was almost a huge cancellation until she apologized. But I think that would have been crazy.
I mean, that would be my question. Is like, what does she have to apologize for?
Exactly, for not speaking up soon enough.
Again, you're my source for this. So this story, I did not look it up. You told me you wanted to surprise me.
Oh yeah, I did.
That is not that bad. I thought it was gonna be way worse. I thought she did something crazy. No, not necessarily, but like, I mean, I thought she was gonna do something crazy.
Exactly, but
to
she
warrant
didn't.
it. Okay.
She didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Mm-hmm. So that goes into a little bit of what we're talking about here because, so let's just get this out of the way too. I generally think that cancel culture is worse, is bad, rather than good. It does more harm than good, in my opinion, the way it's used right now. I understand, like what you said. I think if we used it as a way to hold politicians and more government officials accountable, that would be a pretty good thing. Yeah. All right, because right now we're not doing that. We're focusing on creators, which is a little weird because they're creators. Yeah. And, you know, a lot of comedians get shut down because of this.
Don't get me wrong, though. Some creators do deserve to be canceled.
Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about. So you actually think that there is some validity to it? You think somebody should get canceled? Yeah. In some instances. What instances would that be?
If they're accused of assault.
Accused of or
proven to be assaulted or proven to assault somebody. Murderer. I think being really rude to people.
Yeah. Wait, what do you mean by really rude?
Really rude, like really mean, like saying slurs and stuff.
Okay, gotcha. Got it. Okay, because rude can be so many different things.
Being violent. Okay. Domestic abuse.
Fair.
I think we shouldn't give people like that a platform.
Okay, got it. So here's my thing. Is I kind of agree with you, but I kind of don't.
Because it's America?
More with the being rude thing.
Oh, why?
Where I think it's like, I don't know how we would like totally specify that.
I feel like saying slurs is...
Okay, see, that's more, but that's not necessarily rude to me. That's like hateful.
I guess hateful.
You know what I mean? Like if you say rude, hateful. That could be like, I just say something mean about somebody.
Yeah, I guess I mean hateful.
Yeah, I think that would be the more proper term because if you use it the other way, then what is rude? You know? Yeah. What could that even be? Okay, that's fair. So there's been a lot of those. And you know, we're going to tie this in. Obviously, these, I don't know if Brittany Broski or Colin Badgener are Christians, but this has happened to Christians as well, which is what we're going to talk about today and how we're going to tie it in. But first, I do want to read a Bible verse or a Bible excerpt.
Read it up.
Because we are a Christian podcast, everybody. So we are going to be doing this stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and if you are able to.
We are a Christian podcast.
I know, right? So we have the Bible here. Well, it's a computer, but it is the Bible.
The Bible is in the computer.
It's genius, right? All right, so Romans.
We're in a library. We can go check out a Bible.
I guess we could.
Continue.
But no, we have it on the computer, so we don't need to do that. Okay. Romans 2. So if you are able to turn your Bibles, if not, that's okay. Romans 2, 1 through 6 is what I'm going to read. And this is going to be kind of the theme I want to talk about throughout the podcast. You ready?
Yes.
Everybody ready? Okay.
Yes.
You, therefore, have no excuse, you who pass judgment on someone else, for at whatever point you judge another, you are condemning yourself, because you who pass judgment do the same things. Now we know that God's judgment against those who do such things is based on truth. So when you, a mere human being, pass judgment on them and yet do the same things, do you think you will escape God's judgment? Or do you show contempt for the riches of his kindness, forbearance, and patience, not realizing that God's kindness is intended to lead you to repentance? But because of your stubbornness and your unrepentant heart, you are storing up wrath against yourself for the day of God's wrath, when his righteous judgment will be revealed. God will repay each person according to what they have done. Now, here's where I disagree with you a little bit, Anna. And so we're going to talk about it a little bit.
I know, yeah, we do disagree.
Is where I think that verse is pretty clear as to who should cast judgment and who shouldn't. And I think we're the ones that probably shouldn't. Yeah. When it comes to anything, as far as that.
Anything is crazy.
Do what?
Anything is crazy.
Okay, so what would you say?
I feel like I can cast judgment on a pedophile.
Okay. Oh, that's good. Let's talk about that. Okay. So I will also correct myself and say that actually I agree with that. Okay. So here's my take on it. Okay. When it comes to this, I typically don't. I mean, in general, I typically don't even feed into this anyway.
No, it's just me.
yeah, but I won't leave a comment or anything. I
won't leave a comment either.
That's actually what I mean by feed into it.
I take it back.
Yeah. So anyway, but I personally believe that if it's something that harms somebody, I think that's more grounds for some kind of reprimandment.
Yeah.
Like, somebody who is preying on a child.
Yeah.
Or somebody who has like hurt somebody, and we definitely know that to be true.
Yeah.
I really don't think it should be for anything anybody says.
Yeah.
Like I don't agree with anything that everybody says.
Yeah.
I just really don't think it should be.
And like also, don't get me wrong. I guess when I said I can definitely cast judgment, I don't mean that in like I am a God kind of way. Mm-hmm. Like obviously, only God can cast judgment on the day we die.
Yeah.
But I can definitely decide not to support someone.
That's true.
And that is what canceling is ultimately.
In a way, not really though.
It's the stop of support of someone completely.
That's where I think it's totally fine. I think you can absolutely do that because you're allowed to do whatever you want with your time.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about canceling now, I mean,
it's like a hate train.
It's a little more than that. It's a little more than that. As you were right. It's like
it's a hate train.
It's a hate train. You're spewing.
What?
Like Colleen Ballinger said, all aboard
the hate train. Choo choo.
Okay. Dude, that girl's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't support her at all. Yeah. But like also I just don't understand. I guess my point is, as a Christian, I don't know if this is right or wrong. Again, we say this disclaimer a lot. We don't know if a lot of this that we're saying is right or wrong. We know what the Bible says. Exactly. But from my perspective, it's like I don't necessarily want to support them, so I won't.
Yeah.
Like if somebody says something that I don't agree with, right? But I don't really see a need to further pile on to that.
Yeah, like the hate.
Let's talk about somebody I totally disagree with. Andrew Tate.
Oh yeah, that's
didn't even think to bring him up today. But I just thought about it right now, which is like
you don't support him at all.
No, I don't.
No.
I think he says a lot of things that are hurtful to a lot of people. I don't think he has the right. I mean, come on. The things he talks about, like get as many women as possible. Yeah. Stuff like that. Not Christian values. I don't support them. Yeah. I don't really feel a need to go out and harass them, which I think some people do. But also, I heard this interesting fact that was like majority of people don't, but like the minority of people that do, they're just so loud.
Yeah, and it's what you see. Like it's the comments.
It's the comments that you see.
You're obviously gonna assume.
So
that
like you watching this, I'm sure you probably don't do it either because most of us have busy lives that we don't have time to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, and you don't do it either. Like you don't just sit there and just spew hate.
Right,
to people.
Hate comments. Yeah.
But the people that do, like, that's what you see. That's what you hear. That's what you're gonna.
I will say I agree with you. If canceling was mainly just, stop supporting people, I think it would be easier to kind of agree with it. Yeah. But right now, canceling in the minds of most people is like, we cancel them and like we hate them, and it should be more of an indifference. Like you can be in this space, but I'm not going to support you because of the things you've said or done or yeah.
And look, I love America.
Yeah.
I do. And I love that freedom of speech thing.
Yeah.
And with the same thing, I love the fact that you can say pretty much whatever you want.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the person listening can choose to not listen to you anymore.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So if cancel culture was more of that, where it was more of like you said, like for example, one of the biggest things in our marriage right now, bringing our real life into it, McDonald's.
Oh, yeah.
McDonald's. We have a really big debate going on here about McDonald's. And I'm not going to shy away from it because I like McDonald's.
I know.
I do.
Yeah.
To give you some context here, with Palestine versus Israel, not versus, like it's a wrestling match.
No, it's not even a wrestling match.
It's like Israel.
When one is being pounded to the ground.
With Israel.
It's Israel at Palestine.
Genocide to Palestine, which I think is exactly what's happening. Yeah. I'm on the train of, I believe this is genocide that's happening. Yeah. We actually agree with that, but what we don't agree with is she's so strongly, and I love this about you. You will attend rallies and stuff. I've never attended a rally in my life, but you're choosing to actually boycott companies that support Israel.
Yes.
Like financially.
Yes.
See, I don't know if I could do
you
that.
don't. So I'm not supporting.
Yeah.
So I'm not supporting Starbucks. I'm not supporting McDonald's, and I'm not supporting. There was a third one.
Was it Disney?
Disney. I'm not supporting Disney. So far, those are the big three.
So far.
Yeah. In counting.
Yeah. Okay. So
In
whenever you
counting.
find out something, you're gonna just boycott it.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. McDonald's is supporting food to the IDF, which is the Israel army, which is currently killing millions of Palestinians. So it's like, throw your money at, I don't know. It's hard because McDonald's is so easy and so fast. And
Good.
the thing is that our money is combined. So if he's buying McDonald's, it's basically my money. And it's like, I don't want to put my money there because it's a boycott, because we're boycotting.
Yeah. So this is like a real issue in our marriage right now. Well, I mean, it's not like,
No, I mean,
it's not at least causing us to have arguments, but
Absolutely
this is
not.
definitely something where we look at each other and I'm like,
there's a bit of tension
there is
there.
some tension whenever I'm like when you found McDonald's in my car. And keep in mind, I didn't even think anything of it when I got it because I really do not associate McDonald's with this. Like, so it was right after a show. I told you I was hungry. I said I'm gonna get something to eat, and I got McDonald's.
I thought it was gonna be a Whataburger.
I didn't even think to tell you because I didn't think anything of it. And then you open the car and you're like, you got McDonald's.
And the thing is, I'm not against him. Like, it's his decision to boycott whatever.
Yeah.
It's just hard because we're married and it is also my money in the pool.
Yeah, we do combine
incomes,
yes.
We combine income. So it's like, I want you to choose, but if my money is still being thrown at McDonald's, then it feels like me boycotting is not really doing anything.
That's fair. So I don't really know what we should do about that, actually.
No.
Because I don't really want to boycott. But
I guess we stopped splitting money for like a couple months.
Or maybe we do something like allocate. Well, let's calm down here. Wait a second. All right. We're getting into the worst bones of being a musician here. Let's take a sec. Let's take a second before we go that drastic. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe we like allocate certain money, like for example, I'm back on the road, right? Maybe some of that can be just my little, and then maybe some of your gigs that you're doing now could be some of yours. And
okay.
something like that might work.
Okay.
We're brainstorming right here on camera. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it.
No.
We'll talk about it. Maybe on here next time. Who knows?
I guess married people get it, that it's like, when you have to make a decision, you want your partner to make the same decision, but like they're human beings too, so you can't really force them into it, and you don't want to.
Right.
It's just you're so close that it feels weird when you're making two different decisions.
It's tough. It really is. Because I feel the same way. Yeah. I mean, when we agree, which most of the time we do agree.
Most of the time you do agree.
It's
very
like
crazy.
we feel great. This is easy, but when the very few times we don't, boy, does it get tense.
Anyway, back to cancel culture. I canceled McDonald's.
We could talk about this forever.
I canceled McDonald's in a way of like not supporting them. I'm definitely not throwing hate at them.
Right.
I love their food.
Right.
But I'm not supporting them anymore.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's fair. So you're more of the train of, if that's what it really was, then it would be easier to get behind. I do agree with that, actually. I think you should be able to do whatever you want with it. But the hate stuff is a little crazy. But let's dive into...
We've talked about your mom.
Whoa.
I'm talking to the audience.
My mom sees this.
I'm not talking to your mom. I'm talking to the audience's mom.
You hear that, Mom? And she loves... You love her so much, but she just is...
Mrs. Zapata, I was not talking about you. I was talking about the audience. I said the audience's mom.
Mom.
Yeah, that's different. That's
worse.
Very different.
That's worse.
No, it's not. It's not worse, actually.
I think it's worse.
No.
Anyway, let's keep it going here. So we've talked about that.
I love you, Gloria.
Yeah, right.
I miss you. No, I do.
No, I'm just kidding.
Why would you say it like that? Yeah, right.
No, she does. Mom, she loves you. Seriously, we all love you and miss you. We moved away from you guys, but we think about you a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so like we said earlier, cancellation's not new. It can happen on different scales. So let's bring the scale down. So this applies to more people here, which is, okay, we're all Christians, right? If you're listening, or maybe you're on the fence. This applies to you as well, so keep listening. Which is that it can happen to us on a small scale.
Yeah.
It can happen to us, like we gave the example, Sarah picks her nose, Anna pees herself in first grade. that lasted for 3 years. All right. So how exactly does this affect us? Well, let's look here. And I'm just going to go ahead and ask you, with society and the way it is, do you ever worry about bringing up your faith?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Okay, this is something that I need to work on.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it's kind of embarrassing.
Okay, sure, yeah. Sure.
Not because like I'm ashamed. It's more embarrassing because being Christian, and not even because of the social structure of being Christian, right? Everybody assumes a Christian like is mean or not loving now.
Mm-hmm.
But because I feel like being a Christian means that you're like emotions kind of are on your sleeve when you say you're a Christian. Like everybody knows what you believe in. Mm-hmm. And it's not that I'm ashamed, but it just feels intimate.
It is. It's very intimate. It is.
That's for me. I know some people are more leans toward the ashamed and the embarrassment, or like, there's a stigma about being Christian now.
There is.
I think so. I think for that, that's the reason for a lot of people. But for me, it just feels like if people know that I believe in something, I'm kind of like a baby.
That is crazy. No, that's fair though, because so that's more you. You don't want to be seen as weak.
Yeah. But as an atheist, I was also like, when I would bring it up, I was also kind of quote unquote canceled for that in my friend groups or at our university.
For bringing up that you were atheist.
Exactly. Or our Christian university. And that was more because of the stigma.
Yeah. What is the stigma that an atheist has that you think when you were that was tough?
Oh my gosh. The biggest stigma ever is, what did God do to you? Like, you're obviously angry at God. And it wasn't that I was angry at God. It was that I didn't believe in God. Mm-hmm. Like, God didn't hurt me. I just didn't believe in him. Mm-hmm. And so that was kind of annoying to hear all the time as an atheist. Mm-hmm. Like, now I'm a Christian again, and I can kind of see where it was coming from, like the need to understand. It's hard for Christians to fathom, I think, someone not believing in anything.
Sure.
So
it's hard for me, I'll tell you that
much. Exactly. So it's just them trying to understand, like, how did you get there? Like, something traumatic obviously must have happened to you. And don't get me wrong, I have trauma in my life, but that's not the reason why I stopped believing. Mm-hmm. I had questions more than trauma.
Yeah. So then real quick, what brought you back?
You
heard it here, folks, ladies and gentlemen.
And Jesus. Mostly, Jesus is the answer, but you brought Jesus back into my life.
I did it.
But, yeah. So I guess being atheist and being Christian in both ways made me feel like if I brought it up, I would have been canceled.
So you felt it both ways. Let me ask you this. Let's say you're atheist right now. Like, not right now, but like, let's go back to when you were. What do you mean by they canceled? You felt like you were getting sometimes canceled like that. Like, atheist? I know when you were an atheist. Mm-hmm.
Well, for example, I had a friend group at our Christian university, and it's a Christian university. Mm-hmm. We were having lunch, we were having a good time. Then the question came up, like, what do you guys believe in? I said atheist. I definitely wasn't ashamed of it.
Sure.
I'm atheist. What? Mm-hmm. What are you? That's crazy. And you go to school here? Mm. That is so crazy. Like, what happened? Like, why do you hate God? Literally. As soon as I said atheist. Yeah. And they never talked to me again. So.
Got it. So it was shock. They were kind of, you felt insulted and then completely cast out.
Yeah.
And then now you're Christian, and then you were Christian before that too. Yeah. What exactly did you see that made you feel like you were canceled then in certain situations? Do you have anything specific with that?
No.
It was just more when you're atheist?
I think Christian is more in my head.
Yeah.
Like Christian, I think in my head.
You were, we've been around more Christians than not, is also the other thing. So it's like being Christian I'll speak for me now.
I guess for that church thing.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Yeah. I guess, yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's like, I've always pretty much been around Christians, so it wasn't super weird. I will say nowadays, I don't really fear bringing it up. Like, I'm very open about it. Everybody who talks to me knows I am Christian.
Yeah. You have a Christian podcast.
I do have a Christian podcast, and I tell them about it.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really cool little segue into other things.
Yeah.
Open up about religion, open about faith. I love talking about faith in general. I do it without the cameras rolling.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why we do this. But anyway, so it wasn't really hard. I will say one thing that's changed is as a Christian, as a young Christian, so as a 24-year-old man who has a wife, which is already weird today,
it is weird.
which is young now, and who also is a musician that plays bars, it brings some interesting. It's weird, and it's not anybody actually. Like nobody has actually ever made me feel this way.
Yeah.
It's just in my head. I get nervous.
Yeah.
And it's not because of like I'll still bring it up, like I'll still say,
Mm-hmm.
but like for example, a big cultural thing with music is that people drink,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because
Mm-hmm.
we're playing in bars. It's very common for people to buy you drinks.
Mm-hmm.
It's very common for people to offer you them, like your bandmates.
Mm-hmm.
And I just tell them no, thank you. But part of me, the first time I say it to anybody, I get a little anxiety.
Yeah.
Because I'm like,
You don't know how it's gonna go.
I don't want to seem rude, because it's not that I want to be rude. Like I'll talk to you. It's not that I think I'm rude. Like I'm not like above anybody, like anything like that.
Yeah.
Like I just want you to understand that I don't do it. And then, but I, you know, I don't want them to also, like I don't want to lose gigs because of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a weird thing that I'm dealing with, where it's like I feel like a lot of networking happens with those drinks that I just can't do.
Yeah.
Because of my faith, and which is fine. But it does make me nervous to bring up.
Yeah.
And it does make me feel a little anxiety. And I'm happy to report it hasn't been a problem. Like,
No,
it's really just in my head, like the
Yeah.
first time. And then once
So-
I tell somebody, they're like, oh, that's cool, dude.
Maybe we cancel ourselves before we even have a chance to be real life canceled.
What do you mean by that? That's a good point.
Well, because we kind of just like scare ourselves into not doing anything because we're so. I will say, I guess that's a negative of cancel culture, is that it's breeding this this environment where we as human beings feel like we can't be 100% out
Ourselves, right. You're so right about that.
there without fearing backlash.
Because you do fear. Yeah, you do fear. That's so true. I didn't even think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like you know, like you'll see it nowadays, like when you're talking to somebody, and then I just think it's funny. I also sometimes do this, like you're talking to somebody and then I'll make like a joke,
Yeah.
and then they'll be like, oh, but you know, like not like that, or
Not
like
serious,
you know,
yeah.
or they'll no, but I'm saying they'll start putting like parameters around it. Or
Yeah.
like we'll be talking about something, and you know, if we're talking about like a gay, like you know, like being gay.
Yeah.
Right? Like in the, like, you know,
Yeah.
talking to another Christian about it, they'll be like, and you know, whatever, you know, and like you put all these parameters around it before you actually speak your opinion to really emphasize that you're trying not to offend anybody.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. We're all adapting to it. Like I definitely do that as well, to where I'm like talking about something that I think might be a little controversial. So I'll be like, oh, and you know, like I love everybody and all this and this, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you're afraid to get backlash for your
Yeah,
opinion,
for sure.
or being your actual self. Now, the reason I bring up the drinking as well is because, like I've said, and I'll stress this, in the community of the worldly musicians, you know, worldly musicians, right?
Yeah.
Even though some of them are Christians as well.
Yeah.
I haven't had a problem with anybody. I actually love everybody in that community. They're super awesome, a super tight community. We have had an incident with Christians,
Yeah,
which is
we
what I
have.
think is really interesting. I don't have any stories of anybody getting upset because I said I believe in God, or I drink, or I mean I don't drink, right?
Yeah,
saying
you
that I
don't
don't drink, saying that I believe in God, being who I actually am. Haven't had a problem with anybody.
No.
Yet I have, and you have, whenever it came to a certain church,
Yeah.
which is very interesting. Full disclosure, by the way, if you're hearing a buzzing throughout this episode, we are definitely working on fixing it.
Yeah.
We're getting used to the new setup and getting used to carrying this stuff around, and I think this got a little messed up. Anyway, so my next question would be, have you ever felt like you were being canceled for something you did? And I think the answer would be yes for both of us.
Yeah.
And I think we have the same experience.
We got canceled
We did.
because we were together.
Actually, no, genuinely. This
Yeah.
was for real.
Yeah.
Cancellation.
Yeah.
Like full on
Kicked out.
kicked out,
Yeah.
which is crazy. And we're going to tell you that story today. We're not going to use names, obviously. We never do that because I feel like that's when it turns to gossip.
Beep it out. Ready? Beep it out.
No, I'm not going to. Not even going to risk it. Not
Beep
beep. But anyway, let's tell you this real quick, which is that this water's really bugging me.
We went to a church.
Go ahead.
We went to a church. Michael had for about a year, right? Been
a little bit more than that, yeah.
A little bit more than a year helping them with drums, music. So we started dating. We had been dating for almost a year, not even a full year.
Yeah, so I'd been at the church for about 2 years, I think.
And we had been dating for almost a year.
Yeah.
And so Michael was about to graduate. I was still in Austin. He didn't want to go back to his parents, back to his hometown.
Yeah.
So we were trying to come up with ways to stay. Obviously, everybody knows Austin. The housing market is insane.
It's crazy.
The roommate search is insane. And we're a couple, so we thought, let's just move in together.
Right. And
you want to stay here, I want to stay here.
At this point,
we're not married.
We are not married.
Obviously, tea.
Very much.
Like a lot of tea. For a lot of people, it's very normal. If you're a Christian, it's debated if it's a sin or not.
Right.
And so we were like, okay. We were also going to move in with another couple. They were married. And they were also involved in the church. The man in that couple kind of accidentally let it slip. But then again, we didn't know it was going to be a secret.
Yeah, we weren't even,
we didn't know it was going to be an issue.
Not hiding it.
Exactly.
We were not
hiding it.
Let me say that real quick, which is that throughout this whole event, I was not being secret.
No, absolutely not.
I was talking to the leader and being like, oh, yeah, I plan to stay here. Because they were asking if I was going to stay after college. Yeah, I'm going to move in, I think I said with you.
Yeah, with me.
But anyway.
Yeah.
So I was not being secretive about this.
Absolutely not. And so then we got and then the kind of, he's not even the main pastor, was he?
No.
The music leader?
Music director,
The music director had a conversation with the man who was married, and he let him know that he can't live with two people who are living together that are married. So that's kind of hard to follow.
That was a lot, yeah.
So let me break it down for you. So because they were a married couple, they couldn't live with a couple that wasn't married.
Right.
And then he talked to Michael and let Michael know that if he moved in with me, not married, then he wouldn't be able to play music in the church or be in the youth.
And neither with the other guy.
Yeah, and neither with the other guy. And him I kind of maybe understand us.
Yeah.
But the married couple feels like kind of a stretch.
So, yeah, that was pretty wild. Yeah. And I will say this, too. Now we are married, by the way.
Now we are married.
And we do live together.
And we do live
now,
together.
I actually, is it a sin to live? I don't know. I definitely know that what we were doing was a sin.
Yeah. Fornicating?
Yeah. We shouldn't have been doing that. And so that was the whole point, which I get it. So I'm going to say, I'm not really upset about it.
Yeah.
I understand it. What really got me personally was the way it was handled after putting 2 years into this church.
Yeah.
After doing it all for free, by the way.
Yeah, for free.
And then it was one Sunday, and it was right after I got off stage, I was told that I wasn't gonna be able to come back. Yeah. That's what got me, was right after the stage, right after getting off in the middle of service.
Just really no respect for the time you or the other person had put in.
Yeah. And I get if you need to take some of those things away, but it really felt like we couldn't go back there.
Yeah, and we never did.
We never did, actually. No. That was the last time we went there.
We felt very not welcomed.
Yeah. So that was crazy.
Yeah.
We actually went through that. That was wild.
Yeah.
And again, I'll say I get it. I understand what the Bible says, and I'm not going to excuse myself for the actions.
No.
Which I know you won't do that either.
No.
But we could have handled it a little bit differently, I think.
I think so too.
It definitely didn't feel like coming from a place of love. It felt like it was coming from a place of, because this was a big church. It came from a place of, we have an image to uphold.
Yes.
I don't think is the right way to do it.
And now we have other friends who have come from that church, and are kind of also being ostracized.
Yeah.
For just different things.
Yeah. It's nuts.
Yeah.
This dang wire. Is it you or me? Say something.
Hello?
It's you. I thought it was me. Anyway, that's good to know. Okay, sorry. We might cut all that out.
Hello?
Like, as far as what we just did right there. That's good. You're fine. It's not your fault. It's the wire. It's not your fault.
Okay.
Okay. So, yeah, that's the story. It was crazy. It's kind of wild to reflect on. It taught us a lot, though. You know, we went through it. We ended up going through with living with each other. And then we actually found a church right after that.
Yeah.
That did accept us.
We loved that church.
Loved that place. And we, like, did not shy away from any details. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I wish we could go back, but we live kind of far.
Too far. But we're just, and that's my whole thing, too, is, like, I genuinely, at the time, because we were younger, too.
Yeah. Well, what, like 20?
Yeah. 19 and 20. So, like, I really I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, I want to keep living here, and I know I'm going to marry you. And I know that's like, it's hard to like predict that, right?
Yeah.
But in my head, I was like, I know I'm going to marry you. And so let's just do it because it just makes sense so we can stay here. And then when I was told by so many people that it was like wrong, and I mean, like, not even just told, but I was like, it felt like people were treating me differently.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
For sure.
Couldn't believe it. I was like, yeah, it just felt weird the way to be treated that way. I understand the accountability and like, but the treatment was weird.
Yeah, the treatment gets weird.
Yeah.
It's being canceled.
Yeah. But, you know, now we have this podcast. We can talk about it.
Yeah. And now we're married. So.
And now we're married. And we live together. And everybody seems to treat us a lot differently now. I'll tell you that.
Gosh. Talk about it.
It's weird.
Talk about it.
Yeah. So we bring all that to say that, like, you know, I haven't seen it as much as I have, or at least heard about it with the Christian community. So I think that's something that we can all strive to do better with is like, as we carry ourselves as Christians, we have to fight through the stigma of we're judgmental.
Yeah. Oh, that's a big stigma.
We have to fight through the stigma of, you know, it's our way or the highway. Like we should just be building relationships with people. Like,
that's so true.
Whenever she came to me as an atheist, I didn't, and I'm not trying to, it was God. It wasn't me. But he used me as a vessel to just get to know you. Yeah,
you were definitely never mean or treated me differently.
Yeah. And I believe that's truly because when you have God in your heart and you have like that empathy, you couldn't be mean to somebody because you just feel for them.
Yeah.
You just feel for what they're going through, and you had a lot of things you were going through. You know? And I thought you were cute.
Okay.
So yeah. Okay. So a pastor does this.
Should not be a pastor.
Okay. No, I actually agree with you.
Yeah.
So here's my take on it is that I feel like alluding back to what we talked about in the beginning, if we use this as a tool to keep higher ups accountable, a pastor, for example, is on a higher platform than we are, should be held to a higher standard biblically.
I agree. Yeah.
Then rather than, you know, John who's just attending, you know, that's a little different. I think they are like, let's say John has a dark past. We should accept him more. Now, should he be a leader? We got to vet that. It's the same thing with background checks, right? But, you know, a pastor, if he's out there just assaulting women, like we can't just have him back on you can't just come back, you know, at least I think. You know?
Yeah, I agree.
You can come back to church, but not on the pulpit.
Yeah.
Not like delivering the message. And it's like same thing with if we ever did anything, like let's just say it comes out that like, I don't know, I'm out there just assaulting women, like I don't think I should have a platform.
No, you shouldn't.
Because we're elevating ourselves in a way that's like now we have a voice and people are listening to this and people are taking it serious, what we say. And that can mislead people. Now you've become
an assaulter.
Well, yeah, but like more, you've become kind of like
a hypocrite.
Hypocrite, false prophet kind of thing, where it's like you're not really living the life that you're talking about. Yeah, which is why we're very honest about like the things that we struggle with is because we want to make sure that we're not painting this picture of perfection. We're not painting this that we got it figured out. I'm 24 years old. She's 23 years old. We're out of college fresh. Yeah, we just got married a year ago. Yeah. Dude, we might come back on, and I would actually love to keep this going so long to where we revisit these episodes, like maybe 2 or 3 years later, and see what's changed and what hasn't.
Yeah, because I'm sure we're gonna change.
Yeah, and like I'd be curious to hear what you guys think about all this. I think it's overall crazy, but I do like it as a tool for holding higher ups accountable. I really do think that's probably where it's better used.
Yeah, I think so too.
But right now, it just feels like we're punching down.
Yeah,
and I think in general, in the world, we're punching each other, but who's the real enemy? You know what I'm saying?
McDonald's.
No, not well. I like McDonald's, but but you know.
Yeah, I agree with you.
As Christians, we're called to forgive, right?
Yeah.
So I get that, and like I said, I admit it's hard for me. Whenever it is somebody who's like a pedophile, or like actually like it's proven, that's hard for me, and that has to do with a lot of like the people I'm around that have been hurt by it. It's just like, how could I just forgive myself? I mean, how could I just forgive them?
Yeah.
Knowing the damage that it's causing for people around me, you know? Mm-hmm. But I think we are called to, even though it is hard. And I won't say like you should just immediately be able to do it. It's going to take work.
Yeah.
But the benefits are great, because then you don't like have that person, you know, just at the forefront of your mind anymore.
Yeah, I guess.
You can kind of move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But forgiveness is hard.
Forgiveness is hard, and
It's
I don't
really
believe in it.
Whoa.
I'm just
time
kidding.
out. What do you
I'm
mean?
Just kidding. I'm
Whoa.
just kidding.
Time
I'm
out.
Just kidding.
How do you do with forgiveness? I don't know. Let's talk about it before we close.
I don't deal with forgiveness.
You are a huge grudge holder.
I believe in holding that grudge into a little ball deep inside the pit of your stomach and letting it just fester in there.
Yeah.
Until you're nothing but a black hole of unforgiveness and anger.
Good Lord.
And then you die.
So there's some things we can work on there. Like I said, we're not perfect. Let me go ahead and we're going to end this episode here because we're coming up on an hour, but let me just read this to close it.
Go ahead.
And then we'll, the conversation is never over. Ooh, yeah. That's good.
The conversation is never over.
It's never over. We're just getting started here, man. We're just getting started. We might revisit this. It'll definitely come up later.
Yeah, maybe next year.
Matthew 18:15-17 says this: if your brother or sister sins, go and point out their faults. Just between the two of you.
Just between the two of you.
If they listen to you, you have won them over. But if they will not listen, take one or two other along, so that every matter may be established by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses.
2 or 3 witnesses.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If they still refuse to listen, tell it to the church. And if they refuse to listen, even to the church, treat them as you would a pagan or a tax collector.
Or a tax collector. Stone him.
And you know we ain't paying attention to no tax collectors.
Stone them. Put them in the middle of the church and throw rocks at them.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
That's biblical.
It's not. Okay, so I think this is a great passage to end on, because I think it's right there. That tells us how we're supposed to deal with conflict and how we're supposed to deal with things that we disagree with.
I mean, bringing the church in is last result.
It's last resort.
Like the whole church in?
Yeah. It starts with 2 people, right? It starts with you and whoever you think has wronged you, or whoever you think. Now,
and then 2 or 3 other people?
Again, this becomes, I think, a little harder. Like, let's say if the thing is
online,
or like it's like an adult and a child. Like if a child gets attacked, the adult has to be dealt with an adult and police, right? Yeah. So like if it's like a crime,
that's a crime.
So let's get crime out of the way.
We're talking like sins.
We're talking about sins in church.
Yeah.
And like how we can sometimes get upset over that stuff, and you have a conflict. It's supposed to be, and here's my theory too, which is like I think the world in general, like it's gotten so big, and what I mean by that is like the internet has just made us all so close. We're not really supposed to be this close with this many people.
No, absolutely not.
Like as human beings, like we're not meant to be in this kind of setting. So that now that we're all learning how to get along with each other. It's like we're all sharing a room. And if you remember sharing a room with your sibling, it sucks. It sucks. And you get mad at each other and you get in fights. Now these fights are just escalating, and they're online, and there was strangers that you're sharing a room with, and it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough, but it was never meant to be. You're supposed to just handle conflict one-on-one behind closed doors. Like if we actually ever had a legit argument, like what we talked about with McDonald's, that's not like super serious. If we had like a legit like spat, we would not just start broadcasting it.
No.
We handle it one-on-one, and then if we need other help, you go to a third party. And
Your
then from there,
parents,
you go on
probably.
to the church, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's where I think it's really important to remember that we're all in this together.
Amen.
We're not trying to tear each other apart. We should be unified.
Unless you're a ginger.
And there you go. Anna hates gingers.
Cancel me.
But you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
So to wrap this all up, I will say, when it comes to cancel culture for me, and I'll give you a chance to wrap yours up. I think in general it hurts more than it, or at least the way it's used right now, it's hurting more. I believe we can all use a little bit of self-reflecting before we cast stones and forgive people. Unless you're breaking the law, then I think just leave that to the cops. And just keep yourself accountable with Christ, right?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree.
Well, there you go. And with that concludes our first ever Austin Public Library podcast.
Woo.
Thank you so much.
Wait. Really quick, my fun fact.
Oh, crap. I almost forgot about that.
It's okay. You suck.
Sorry.
This is the real reason why the audience is here. So I didn't have enough time to get a fun fact, so I just picked up this random book from the library.
Okay.
It's called Great American Lawyers and Encyclopedia, and I'm going to open a random page, and I'm going to read you a sentence.
Please do.
And I'm thinking, if we're going to keep doing it in the library, this might be a fun little bit. Okay.
Excuse me.
Here we go. All right. In 1948, Robinson was named Special NAACP Counsel in Virginia, and his focus turned primarily to racial inequalities in education.
Well, there you go.
There
that
you
actually
go.
was a very fun fact. I didn't know.
There you
That
go.
kind of worked out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was Anna's fun fact. This is the end of the show. We will see you next week, and we're going to be talking about some other things. Let us know what you agree with in this episode. Let us know what you disagree with. Come on here if you strongly disagree, and let's talk about it. And until then, have a great rest of your week. Keep God on your mind. Keep going for your goals. Visit your library.
And don't eat McDonald's.
Maybe. And we'll see you next week on
Worship Warriors.
Warrior.
Oh, sorry.